Hello, my name is Jasmine Romo, and today I will be discussing the Faces of the Sun, which references to a temple known as the Temple of the Masks, which was known amongst the Mayan civilization. So, since we're focusing on the Mayan civilization, they were home to to Mesoamerica, commonly known today as like Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, Honduras. Um, the Mayan civilization did flourish from 200 BCE to 1500 CE, and had peaked during 250 to 900 CE, known as like the classical period. They did worship the gods, and they saw a lot of like the natural occurrences as like a result of either the gods gifting or punishing them. Agriculture wise, they were known to grow maize, beans, squash, and cocoa. I'm so sorry. And maize was a staple crop within there. They did tie agriculture within cycles, and had tied it to religious rituals and to different deities. So to get more specific, I kind of wanted to focus in more on the Temple of the Masks and the architecture of it and what it was intended for. So Cahulich was built and dedicated to the sun god, and inside they had designed about 8 masks, and about 5 are still preserved today. It is a 4-tier pyramid, and it contains 5 chambers, which is kind of where they set up their ritual practice. It is one of the oldest and most famous structures of Cahulich. It was constructed around 500 CE and 32 feet high. It is assumed to be brightly painted because they have found residue of red, black, and orange pigment. So yes, and it was also ran by the higher Mayan people, so more like priests and like who they saw as a king. Taking an inside look, they did plaster the inside of the walls. This was to create a smooth surface in order for them to paint and also do encryptions. This was actually a standard thing for most temples to use. The masks itself had flanked the central stairway all the way up, and then the chamber itself was dark, and it was a little hard for them to really leave much behind, or even really appreciate, I guess, the beauty of what they were gifting the god. They were also placing benches and altars within the rooms in order to give offerings and conduct solar related rituals. So why is it that it's still significant, or why was this significant to them? So they were very big on religion and worship, and in a sense this is how they were able to control the lower tiered commoners, rather than, or that's their way of the elites having control over those who didn't have much. But overall, it did show their dedication and how much they loved their gods, and how much faith they had in everything that they were basically providing for their community. They used it, they practiced in everyday life, and it really, unfortunately, showed like a power move. Getting into social structure, the temple was mainly ran by Mayan rulers, and mainly just like the priests and then the high priest. Of course, nobles were invited in, but it wasn't as common. And then the merchants and artisans and the commoners below them, they were more the people who just built the temple. They couldn't really do much. I assume that, well, assume I they gave their offerings and even offerings and goods to the priests in order to show the appreciation towards the gods and blessing them or granting them, hopefully, sun to grow their crops practically. And then they also did hire artisans to design the masks. I do have a couple pictures within the presentation that kind of highlight those masks. They actually are very neat. As for values and beliefs, so they were very big on sacred cosmology. Um, they typically used temples as their way of giving to the gods and really just kind of cycling through life and kind of maintaining that order. And it really showed their devotion to continue or build. So why is this still talked about today? I know many people see it as like, whatever. It's just a building. It's just, but kind of like we can relate it to a church, just how significant it was then. This is typically a generally same idea. It actually keeps the Mayan culture alive. It does teach us a lot. It shows us how much civilization has grown and how much it's changed. And some people are able to go back and really connect when it comes to the Mayans and even just different cultures in general. Overall, so this temple is not commonly known. A lot of the temples, I want to say the Kukultan or something like that is one of the most known. Overall, this is more of just like kind of like a side temple, but still very relevant and very significant to the Mayan culture itself. It does give a lot of insight when it comes to how much they honor their gods and the social structure that kind of thrived within that time, and it preserves the culture as a whole. And that is the end of my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it.